If your practice is growing, but it somehow feels more chaotic every single month, you may be in what I call the go-go stage. This is the third stage of the physician lifecycle curve and the second video in our series. So your schedule's full, revenue's growing, you've hired more employees, maybe another provider, or maybe even opened up another location. From the outside, everything looks successful. But behind the scenes, your phone is ringing before you even had your coffee. Employees need answers all day long. You're dealing with patient complaints you didn't even know existed. And one person calling out sick could completely derail your practice. Almost every growing practice I've worked with has hit this wall at some point. And growth itself isn't the problem. Growth exposes the fact that your practice has outgrown the way it was originally run. You're still saying yes to every opportunity, hiring people before their roles are clearly defined, and making decisions that the entire team should be able to make without even asking you. The practice has grown, but the structure underneath it hasn't. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why this happens and how the owner unintentionally becomes the biggest bottleneck and what you need to change before the chaos leads to burnout. I'm Jamie, and I've got over 20 years of experience working with med spas and private practices, helping them build stronger and more profitable businesses. And if you already know that your practice has outgrown its current systems and you want help fixing it, then book a free strategy call with us. The link's in the description. Now let's dive in. Here's what this stage actually feels like. You wake up already thinking about the practice. Before you even get to the practice, someone's already called out sick. Your office manager needs answers, and there's a patient issue waiting for you at the office. And when you walk in, you're immediately starting to put out fires. You try seeing patients, but your team keeps interrupting you with questions. Someone needs approval. Someone doesn't know how to handle a situation. The problem comes up that apparently you're the only one that can solve it. And because so many decisions still run through you, the work you actually need to get done keeps getting pushed off for later. So once the last patient leaves and everybody else goes home, you're still there doing charts, answering emails, and dealing with everything you couldn't get done during the day. Then you go home exhausted, knowing you're probably gonna have to wake up and do the whole thing again tomorrow. When I ask owners about this stage, how are things really going? They usually say something like, we're growing, which is great, but because they know they should feel successful. Revenue's up, their schedule's full, the team's getting bigger. Instead of feeling more successful, they feel completely overwhelmed. Their practice is running them instead of the other way around. And most owners quietly assume that maybe they're not good at the business stuff. They think, maybe if I was more organized, or work a little harder, or hire one more person, they could finally get things under control. But that right there is the lie that keeps growing practices stuck in chaos. Because the problem was never that you weren't working hard enough. The real problem is that your practice has outgrown the way it was originally built. When you were smaller, you didn't need a lot of structure. You only had a few employees, everyone knew what was going on, and if somebody had a question, they'd just ask you. And then if a problem came up, you would just fix it. And for a while that worked, but then the practice started to grow. You added more patients, more employees, maybe a provider, potentially a second location, and the growth didn't create the chaos. It exposed all the things that were never defined in the first place. The processes that lived in your head. You had employee roles that were never clearly defined. And then there were decisions that nobody knew they could make without talking to you first. And the problem is most owners don't recognize this when it's actually happening because everything still looks successful. So why would you document processes or clarify roles or build accountability when the momentum's clearly moving you forward? You don't. And you keep saying yes, and you keep hiring, and you keep moving forward until your practice becomes so large to run on quick conversations, good intentions, and you remembering everything. And that's when all those missing systems become impossible to ignore. The momentum may still be there, but now there's not enough structure underneath to support the whole weight of the practice that you have built. And this is where many owners make the problem worse. Instead of changing how the practice operates, they make themselves even more involved. But I don't want you to just take my word for it. I have seen this happen over and over again in so many practices. So what you're going through is totally normal because when a practice starts growing quickly, the owner adds more employees, providers, services, or even a location. But the systems and leadership structure don't grow at the same pace. And before long, roles become unclear, communication starts breaking down, employees don't know who's responsible for what, and nearly every important decision still comes back to you. The details may be a little bit different for everybody, but the pattern's always the same. And when owners first call me, they often think their practice is uniquely dysfunctional. They blame the office manager or the staff, or maybe they blame themselves at not being very good at running a business. But this is a predictable stage of growth. So this happens all the time. So don't feel like you're all alone. And the practices that move through this successfully aren't necessarily the ones with the better employees or whose owners work harder. They're the ones who recognize their practice has outgrown their original structure and change how it operates. Because if you don't, the natural response is to become even more involved and try to regain control yourself. And that's how owners become the answer to everything, which is the real reason that chaos continues. So if this sounds like your practice right now, then don't worry, you're not alone. And this is exactly the stage where going outside for help can end up saving you months or even years of frustration. So if this sounds like you can book a free call with us. The link's in the description, and we'll help you identify what needs to be changed first. Again, this happens with almost every growing practice. So now the question becomes, what do you actually do about it? And here's where most advice starts getting it wrong. You've already been told you need to improve your systems, hire better people, and delegate more. And yes, those things definitely need to be done. But none of them are going to work if every decision still has to be run through you. I see owners hiring office managers and still like to be involved in every single decision. They tell employees to take initiative, but step in and change how things are done. They make a process, but make exceptions every time something comes to them. And without realizing it, they are training the entire team to wait for them. And sometimes that's because letting things go feels really risky. And being involved in everything may be what made you successful. And if you're completely honest, it can also feel a little bit good to be needed. But the role that helped you build the practice is not the same role that you need to be to get to the next stage. The real work isn't just documenting systems or delegating tasks. It's about becoming a leader who sets the direction, gives other people real authority, and then allows the practice to operate without being involved in every single little decision. Because you can't build a practice that's less dependent on you while continuing to make yourself the center of everything. But once you understand that the real problem isn't just lack of systems, it's that you're still the center of everything. So the next step is learning how to get yourself out of the middle without the whole practice falling apart. And I want to be very clear, the chaos that you're experiencing does not mean that you failed. In many cases, it means that you've built something really successful. You created a practice that people want to work at, that patients want to come to, and what has grown from what one person can manage alone. This is something to be really proud of. But the way you built the practice cannot continue the way you run the practice. And you have to give yourself permission to slow down enough to create structure, to stop saying yes to every opportunity, to let other people make decisions, and sometimes let them make different decisions than you would. This isn't losing control. It's building a practice that no longer depends on you alone. The chaos may have been a predictable part of the growth, but once you recognize what's causing it, staying there becomes your choice. Your practice has outgrown the original structure. Your job is to become the leader it needs to get to the next stage. And if you want to see exactly what practices that move successfully through this stage do differently, watch this video next. I walk through the specific shifts that take a practice from chaotic growth to sustainable, profitable growth, including the one change that most owners resist the longest, but that ultimately makes the biggest difference. And if you're ready to stop surviving your own growth and start leading it, then this video is your next step, and I'll see you there.